Hi there, everyone. It's me again, Marivir Montebon, here in Conversations with MM. Hope everybody's doing well. And this is our second episode for our first anniversary special here in Conversations with MM. We are a year old and we are taking baby steps very enthusiastically, very inspired by the community. And today, our guest is a very special person. She is a lawyer, she is a figure skater, and she is an activist here in New York City. And most of all, she is Filipino and Jordanian. And let's welcome Miss Marni Halasa. Hi, Marni.
Hi,
Good to see
Marvir. Thank
you.
you for having me.
My pleasure. It's been a while since I haven't seen or talked to you. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Really busy. Lots of,
That's what
lots
things
of
going
things
on.
I'm doing.
I
Like
know. I
eclectic
know.
life.
Yes, and so I'd like to congratulate you
Mhm.
for having been given recognition by the what's this? Ice
Ice
Skaters
Theater,
Palace,
Ice Theater of New York.
Ice Theater of New York. Sorry
Yeah,
about that. And
that's
so,
okay.
congratulations! You are. This is a very upbeat and timely award recognition for you. Are also a marvelous teacher for
Yes.
figure skaters. So
Hmm.
you are developing an amazing troupe of young performers, right?
Right,
So,
right.
so tell us about it, Marnie.
Yeah, so I always feel that, I really followed my dream and my passion
Mm-hmm,
when I kind of like embarked on this road to teach figure skating. I had actually
mm-hmm,
come to New York. Uh, I had a law degree. I had passed the bar in Pennsylvania. I went to Columbia Journalism School because I wanted to be a legal journalist. And I had all this education. And for about 10 years, I was a legal reporter.
mm-hmm.
I worked for the New York Law Journal. I was a reporter. I was also an editor for the Law Journal. And just, like I was freelancing. But then there was this sort of voice inside of me that really was kind of pulling me always to the ice rink. So even though I had a full-time job
Uh-huh.
and I was working like quite a bit, I was always still going to the ice rink. I was still skating. I was still performing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something where, after 10 years of being a legal journalist, um, the universe was really kind of calling me to teach figure skating. And I always had been teaching figure skating, but I always had a full time job.
Mm-hmm.
And just after 10 years, I think it sort of pulled me in that direction. And I listened to that little voice that we have inside of all of us, which really kind of speaks to us and asks us, are you happy? And I was always happy at the rink, always happy teaching my skaters. And the choice started to be clear. And I think what I would, tell, everybody listening is, of course you have to have a job, and especially from immigrant parents. I mean, my mother
Yes.
was Filipino, uh, highly educated, had a PhD and three master's degree. My father was a PhD in chemistry. Like, we're sort of raised. I'm sure a lot of your listeners can identify with this, but you come out of the womb and it's like, okay, doctor, lawyer, scientist,
Yeah, they dictate.
failure. Like you have to choose something like very professional.
Uh-huh.
And I did, but I also, I couldn't ignore the soul of me is really a dancer and a figure skater. And so, I followed that path, and it's always nice, decades later to get some recognition, but it really was the right path for me.
Amazing.
We get a lot of messages from everybody on what we should be. And I think what people should really listen to is that voice inside of you that, tells you really what makes you happy.
That's good. But when in this lifetime, when did you realize? Did you realize it as a young girl that you wanted to do figure skating?
Yeah, well, I saw Dorothy Hamill in the 1976 Olympics.
Hmm.
I fell in love with her. I got my hair cut like her. I was going to the rink every morning at like 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my
So
gosh!
I had started to identify myself as a figure skater when I was very young, like
This was like a teenage.
9, 10, 11 years
Oh,
old. And then I started, and I had come from a gymnastics and ballet background. But
Mm-hmm.
then when I found figure skating, I started to skate every day.
Uh-huh.
So every day, my dad and mom would take me to the rink. I would skate before school. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would skate before school and after school, and also on the weekends. And in the summers, I was skating almost like 7 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
So
So
it
you're
was very, very rigorous. And, I had a bit of a competitive career, but really I
mm-hmm.
wanted to do shows. I loved shows. I loved performing. Uh, and that kind of carried on when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. And I'm still
Mm-hmm.
actually performing. It's funny.
Wow.
It's like the older I get, I'm still kind of doing this. It keeps me in shape. I love entertaining an audience, and it just makes me happy. So, the way I look at it is, I think sometimes, my parents, maybe they would have liked me to become a corporate lawyer, but it really wasn't me. And as long as I'm doing something to support myself,
Uh-huh.
and and still do the things I love, I think they're happy with my decisions.
So your mom was particularly supportive of your this passion at a very early age.
Oh gosh, I mean, my mother, she would leave her work and come and
Uh-huh.
pick me up from school in the afternoon, and drop me off at the rink, and then go back to work,
Oh.
then work till she's done, then come pick me up, then drop me back. I would do my homework at home. Then she had an Oriental furnishings store
Uh-huh.
in Akron that she would go. My father and mother, they both had full-time jobs.
Uh-huh.
My father was a chemist. My mother worked for the Cleveland Board of Education. She was head of the statistics department. Then from their job, they would, pick me up, take me wherever I needed to go to the rink, drop me off at home, and then they would go to they had a Oriental furnishings and Oriental, jewelry store in Akron. So then they would go there and finish at 11:30, come home, go to sleep, and start the day all over again at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So so you seemed
I
like you were
learned
so
well.
you were obsessed by this.
Yes, and they really supported it, and what they said to me is like, "You can skate as much as you want, but you have
Uh-huh.
to get straight A's. If you get straight A's, you can do whatever you want. If
Oh,
you don't
so
get straight A's, that's gonna be a problem." So they kind of use the figure skating to make sure that I was always doing my studies.
academically you were doing your best as well, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
what parents always are
Is
after.
the deal.
You're right, right. Oh my gosh. And so fast forward, you eventually became a teacher, which I guess is a very wonderful segue to being a performer that you train the young ones. Now, are these your students?
No,
Now,
that's a
what are
piece.
these pictures?
Yeah, this piece is a piece I did for Ice Theater of New York.
Uh-huh.
And it was choreographed by a dance choreographer called Alberto Del Saz.
Ah, okay.
And the piece is called Revolte des Enfants, and it's about sort of the complicated relationship between a mother and her children.
Oh, wow.
Children are always trying to be independent, but at the same time, they're very closely linked to their mother. And that
Yes.
relationship always is going to survive time, no matter how old, a child gets.
Oh,
So I
wonderful.
would do these very interesting pieces. Ice Theater of New York, it was the first ice dance company to get funding from the National Endowment for the Arts.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets city council funding. And it's all about creating interesting and sort of compelling pieces of dance on ice.
So
So
you're doing the choreography for this, or you're directing, or what is it?
Well, I was actually at the time I was skating for the company,
Oh.
doing interesting pieces, also, performing for their special events.
Mm-hmm.
But also I have my own skating team called the Sky Rink All Stars, and we
Uh-huh.
are national showcase medalists for 8 years in a row. And a lot of my girls also participate in Ice Theater of New York's junior ensemble program. So there's a lot of interplay between myself and Ice Theater.
Uh-huh.
So it was always nice to get an award from them, like decades later.
It,
So
It is it is rewarding, right?
It
Like
is.
a
It
pat.
is.
Is this your group?
Yes, that's my group.
The
We
young
actually,
girls?
yeah, this weekend we actually performed, and I
Oh,
actually
cool.
performed with them because one of our girls was
Uh-huh.
out ill. But we did the Spice Girls, and they have like a fantastic, fun number to a medley of the Spice Girls iconic hits. So
Amazing.
we did that for the Skating Club of New York end of the year annual show. So, whether it's whatever it is, and I did the dance parade this weekend in
Uh-huh.
the pouring rain.
Yeah.
The dance parade is where there's like 12,000 dancers all dance down Fifth Avenue.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
that's a wonderful, wonderful,
It's a it's a
experience.
sight to look.
Yes, yes.
So where do we get to see you perform? Where do you usually perform?
Oh, you know what? I feel like I'm all over the place. I do a lot of parades, like the dance parade. I'm going to be in the Coney Island Mermaid Parade, which is
Oh,
the third Saturday of every June. I'm going to be in the Gay Pride
exciting.
Parade. I do a lot of parades. I do the annual Chinese Lunar New Year Parade in
Uh-huh.
Chinatown. That's one of my favorite parades. And
Great.
and also like at the rink at Chelsea Piers, I coach at Chelsea Piers, I perform at Chelsea Piers. But I always feel like when you perform, it's like a gift you're giving to an audience.
Yeah.
And I love to entertain. And, for me, I like to be part of like, large events.
Uh-huh.
It's just fun for me. And I know a lot of people, I know a lot of photographers and media people. So it's fun for me.
Could you tell me, like, could you email me if ever there are upcoming events?
Oh, I
We would
will.
love to see you
Oh,
perform.
sure,
I
sure.
would love to take pictures and interview you right there and then.
Definitely, definitely.
Amazing.
Yes.
So, could you tell us about this performance?
Oh, so that was I dressed up as a butterfly on roller skates, and
Mm-hmm.
like that particular picture, that was actually that was actually fine because there wasn't a downpour of rain.
This is rainy. Yeah.
It's raining a little bit, but
Uh-huh.
later, like 15 minutes later, it was a downpour. So,
Uh-huh.
but I was
Oh
like, I just had my little umbrella, and I was like, I'm gonna finish this parade. If like I am here, the rain is not gonna stop me.
my
And it's
gosh.
just nice because you see people on the sidelines, and they love to see dancers, and it's definitely a parade that celebrates dance, and dance is part of. There's so many cultures: Mexican dancers, belly dancers, roller skaters, hip hop dancers, a lot of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of float. So it's just a wonderful event that celebrates dance.
Is there a particular dance that you are really you love this so much more than the other dance? Or
Well, I
a
mean,
dancer will always dance whatever it is?
I yes, yes, definitely. Well, I was a belly dancer for like 13 years. And
Oh.
that's something that always sort of stays with me. It's part of my Arabic heritage.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was is from Jordan, and it's funny whenever I have the Filipino and the Jordanian mix, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like, I actually have a picture of my mother when she was very young. Uh,
Uh-huh.
she was a dancer also when she was like very little. Um,
Oh.
and then with my father, there was always, Arabic dancing and belly dancing. And, I'm going to my cousin's wedding in the summer. It's going to be a big blow up party. Everybody's going to be dancing all over the place, so,
So
so
you
on
know
both sides, I get the dancer, I think, feel like from
that's
both cultures.
why. Because Filipinos, they say we know how to party.
That's right. That's right.
It's always fun. Like it's not
Yeah.
just 2 hours of a party. It's like a whole afternoon, a whole
Oh, yes,
right,
definitely.
right.
Filipinos know how to party also. Yes.
Amazing. And then tell us about this story of this picture.
Oh, so that's with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a wonderful opportunity. My friend Chris, who's the guy in the picture,
Yeah.
he actually was able to get us that gig. But it's on synthetic ice. So the ice is really it's not real ice. It's really like a large um a large coating of plastic, and we actually skate on synthetic ice.
Is that difficult?
It's really like it's like skating on a cutting board, but then
Oh
they
no.
put a solution of water and glycerin on top to make it slippery. But that
Oh,
was for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I've performed in that parade about 4 times. And I
uh-huh.
love that parade also. It's so much fun. It's beautiful. And, you know, I can't get enough of that parade. It's wonderful.
So this job, this passion of yours comes with risk, like when you fall and then you drop your butt or you hit your
Sure.
knee.
You
So
can always fall. Yes.
have you been in a bad fall? But thankfully
You know
no.
what? So far, you know what? Not really. Sometimes with the roller skates, you're skating on the street, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of a danger, but I think I know my limitations, and so far so good. Knock
Yes,
on
thankfully, right?
wood.
The angels are watching you.
Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. Now let me move a little bit to your journalism, legal
Mhm.
journalism practice before.
Sure.
Um, Obviously, I would believe that figure skating was more fun for you. But what
Mhm.
was your takeaway being a legal journalism
Well, I think
practitioner?
you know what I think for the legal journalism, I was hired by the New York Law Journal to be a reporter and also an editor. They
Mm-hmm.
had a North Suburban edition, which covered the counties of Westchester, Putnam, Orange County, Rockland County. So I was really the editor for a weekly newspaper that covered the news up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very interesting to me. Uh, just in general, because I went to law school, and law school to me, I thought was very, very, I thought it was like a priceless education because it really taught me how the world worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think for the legal journalism is I was always interested in legal issues, how the world works,
Mm-hmm.
why does the court rule one way and not another way? Uh,
Yeah.
and also in general, I think it's very, very useful how to craft a good argument that actually can persuade people. So
Mm-hmm.
when I ran for city council in 2021 and also in 2017, I use my legal background to really hone in on what are the best arguments for a certain kind of public policy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I was trying to advocate for was the Small Business Job Survival Act. It's
Yes.
legislation in city council that has never been passed, even though a majority of city council supports it. I was
Mm-hmm.
always like, why isn't this legislation passed? It would
Mm-hmm.
give small business owners the right by law to have a long-term affordable lease for 10 years. And small businesses actually need that because you
Yes.
don't really start to make your money back till after like the fourth, fifth, sixth year. So you
Mm-hmm.
really need a 10-year lease. But the New York City is really influenced by real estate lobbyists. So that's why that legislation hasn't been passed.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we need deeply affordable housing, especially in New York City, and
Mm-hmm.
we need it to remain affordable. So I fought for the rights of public housing tenants, um,
Mm-hmm.
and also fought for the right for their housing to not be demolished, because that's kind of what's happening a lot in New York.
Right.
You get a lot of housing,
Mm-hmm.
they put up luxury housing, and then what they do is the developers demolish existing rent stabilized and rent controlled units, which
And
then
that's happening like so aggressively these days.
aggressively all over. It's
Yes.
all over. And Eric Adams has a policy called the City of Yes. And what that does, that's something that I'm actually writing about for the Westview News. What that does
Mhm.
is it takes the community input and community board input out of the process. So if Eric
Oh,
Adams like green lights a developer, oh yes, you can rezone something, oh yes, you can build your luxury apartment, then the community has no say.
that's
And that's
nice.
really, really a very dangerous
So
policy.
that's a sad development. I remember you were
Mhm.
telling us in our interview with you a few months ago that you had a critique on. In fact, the councils are not even an approving body. They're just like a stamping pad, like a
Exactly.
yeah.
And even
And now
what's
it's
really
even gone.
Yes, even what's really sad is you have a lot of progressive council members that they seem progressive in terms of identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, they seem progressive and they seem like they have a nice personality. But then when you actually study their decisions, they're allowing luxury development to just come into the neighborhood and do whatever they want. So that's also like very disturbing. But you don't really learn this until you study it. Like I only learned this because I was a candidate.
Yes,
So I
yes.
was trying to fight against that. And
I didn't talk to you, I wouldn't even know that how
yes,
tedious it is and how cunning it can be.
exactly, exactly. So that's something, I mean, I think my parents also sort of imbued in me. I've always been very, very fortunate, but there are so many, middle class and also middle to low income class New Yorkers,
Hmm.
that are teachers, that are
Yeah,
construction workers, that are nurses, many Filipino nurses.
right.
They can't live in the same borough that they work because it's so expensive. So that's something that I've been continuing to fight against.
So I would believe that the your world in journalism opened your world to activism.
Definitely, definitely. Because once you learn what's really going on,
You need to move to
you
do
got to do
something.
something about it. Yes,
Right. So are
definitely.
you thinking of going back to the electoral
Yeah,
competition?
you know what I mean? Like after I ran in 2021, I mean, I sort of
Mhm.
realized, unfortunately, that it's really for insiders. It's very, very hard to run as a regular person.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I have a lot of friends, but I don't
Uh-huh.
have really wealthy, wealthy friends. And in that game, you really have to have wealthy friends that donate to your campaign, and then they get their wealthy friends to do. It's really difficult. So I
Oh.
think for myself, I'm going to do my activism through writing. I'm starting to write for a publication called the Westview News. I've written for the Village Sun, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of community newspapers that seem to have a lot of influence electorally, and also through the small business. My restaurant, the Purple Tongue,
Uh-huh.
when it gets really up and running, I'd like to make meals for the homeless.
That's
I'd like it to be like a community space for for Hell's Kitchen. Really to help people get their services. And just generally be a support system, for the community. I feel like that's a little bit better of a role for me
mm-hmm.
than running.
I
But
see.
you never know. You never know who comes your
Mhm.
way, who will give you support.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see what happens. But I feel like that's a better road for me right now.
Wow. But it looks like you're telling me like it's that your lesson learned after the two election competitions
Yes,
you
I mean,
joined. Like
I
you
have to
need
say
to have,
also, in 2017,
yeah.
I pushed this legislation called the Small Business Job Survival Act. I pushed it so hard that it actually forced
Mm.
Corey Johnson, who was then Speaker for City Council, it
Yeah.
forced him to give the SBJSA a public hearing.
Mm.
So I would say all of this is like it's baby steps in the right direction. And
Yes.
that's a victory. I think, for a regular person like me to be
Mm-hmm.
able to force the second most powerful person in city council to
Mm-hmm.
give it a public hearing, I'd say that's a real victory. But I want more. I want more victories. I want bigger.
Yes.
I want city council to pass that legislation because then when you would walk around your neighborhoods, you would see, there wouldn't be boarded up stores. You would see a more thriving neighborhood. You would see more mom and pop um, stores, more coffee shops run by mom and pops,
Yeah.
more boutiques. You wouldn't have a bank on every corner or like a CVS and a Dwayne Reed. It would be more of a neighborhood.
Right, right. But
And that's the beauty of New York. That's the beauty of, the Lower East Side or the West Village is that you
mhm.
had these very like amazing, amazing neighborhoods with these amazing like little shops run by regular
Yes.
people. And that's the beauty of New York City.
Yeah, but do you think that it's difficult to sustain that among small businesses? They're also being, swallowed by the giant corporations who can
Right. Well,
afford. And
right.
gentrification is fast.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, and that's where I
Mhm.
think we have to have the government step in and make sure that our small businesses can survive. I mean, that's I think what it takes.
Mhm.
And I think if more people kind of understood that, they would be pushing for that too. But what we really all have to do is put pressure on our elected officials, call them up,
Mm-hmm.
tweet them, email them, call them up and, hold a protest outside their home, like that's what activists
Yes.
do. And if
And
you
use the media
use the
for that
media and
wonderful
pressure
purpose.
them and don't be afraid to pressure them because they're there to work for us.
Speaking of small businesses, and at Hell's Kitchen, I see a lot of small businesses there. It's thriving. And I understand that you have your restaurant. Is that a new passion for you?
Yes, yes, it is. And it's also my husband's new passion.
Mhm.
Myself, my husband, and his good friend Otis Banks, we opened up a restaurant and wine bar in
Mhm.
Hell's Kitchen. It's in Manhattan Plaza, and the address is 410 West 43rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue.
Oh,
And it's like starting to like really take off. It's Italian food with a lot of other food from my husband's travels around the world.
mhm.
But the quality, my husband is Italian. He comes from a large Italian family. He's also kind of an unofficial chef as
Mhm.
well. But the food, the quality is really, really good. And we've carefully curated our wines. Our wines are really interesting. People love it. Hence the name purple tongue, because when you drink red wine, you get a purple tongue. Also,
Mhm.
our spirit animal is a giraffe. Giraffes also have purple tongues. Um,
Oh,
and it's just like a really cozy, um, comfortable neighborhood eatery, also with a wine bar. And people really like it. And it seems to be taking off. So we're really excited about it.
that's something that I would go to again with my friends. So um,
Definitely.
I will make an appointment with that for you with you.
Yes, yes.
So
And
okay.
I'm usually there too. I'm usually there in the evenings.
Oh, I see.
Also, we have wine tastings. People can come and taste wine. Also, we
Mhm.
have live jazz on Wednesday
Oh wow.
evening. And people really like seem, that area sort of needs kind of a little bit of a more neighborhoody place. The residents of Manhattan Plaza really like it. We employ a lot of the musicians who live there.
Awesome.
And it's a really nice restaurant. I think people will really enjoy it.
Looking forward to be there. Wow. Yeah,
So
you're right. Now, one question. What do you think of the surge of bust in immigrants from Florida, from Texas, coming to New York? How
I
does
know.
that make you feel? How do you solve that
I
kind of
mean,
problem?
the thing is that what I see going on is, the sort of narrative has been against the migrants coming in because there's a lack of resources.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to other activists, what they say
Mm-hmm.
is there is so much empty space. There's
Mm-hmm.
like so many of the commercial office buildings in Midtown Manhattan are empty.
Mm-hmm.
They're demolishing the Pennsylvania Hotel, which had
Yeah.
1,000 rooms, like the Pennsylvania Hotel, which is really a historic site.
Mm-hmm.
The city could have actually taken it by eminent domain and made it affordable housing for New Yorkers, or maybe a temporary hotel for migrants. The thing is that the city really does have the money, but what they do is they say, oh, they're all coming in and they're all taking our resources and this is bad.
No more budget.
But I think, I mean, on one hand we have to say that, hey, listen, like, we're the richest city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We could actually accommodate those people. There's thousands and thousands of empty spaces in Midtown Manhattan, boarded up hotels. Why can't the city, like in Barcelona,
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona actually buys up these hotels, and if the hotels are empty for like 6 months to a year,
Mm-hmm.
they force the landlord. They will say, if you don't rent this out, we're going to buy it from you and use it to house our own people. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look at other policies all over the world, you see that other places are actually um, using vacant space and using it wisely. And I think also with the public safety is,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you get people off the street and into some kind of reasonable home, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to have any crime. You're not going to have the crime that we see and we hear about. So I think that's important also. I mean, I think it all stems from providing affordable housing and for people in need,
Mm-hmm.
and we see people in need on the street every day. We need supportive services on the first floor of those buildings. And, there is the money there. It's just, whether there's the political will.
Right. Oh my God. I really see a lot of empty spaces in buildings,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
hard to
once,
get your affordable housing. I mean, I am enlisting myself, but I don't know when am I gonna get my chance to have affordable housing.
right, right. I hear you. I
In
hear you.
years. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they
So it
will have
is,
to
it's
wait when
hard.
I'm old.
And I feel also like people really suffer in silence. I mean,
Mm.
unless people really don't talk about their financial situation, but when you sort of talk to people, and I was like, wow, you're paying like 58% or 65% of your income in rent.
Yes.
I mean, that's people are, and I think sometimes people accept that that's just the cost of like, to live in
Being
New
in
York
New
City,
York.
but it shouldn't be that way.
Yes.
And I'm always here to kind of like, push against that. So,
Right. Thank you. And before we wrap up, any thoughts on the random crimes on race, like the Asian hate? How do we solve that
oh,
problem?
I mean, again, I feel like if people, I mean, a lot of this seems like a lot of the crime
Mm-hmm.
on minorities, Asian, black people, brown people,
Mm-hmm.
like white people. A lot of it is because people are mentally ill. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I think if you house them and you give them the services you need, you get people off the street. You get people off the street, you're not going to have that kind of crime. I do see that there is more of a police presence on
Yes.
subways. And I know when I talk to other people, they feel more comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought there should be like a separate public safety department that is equally funded, like that is funded, that gets, proper city funding. Um, so maybe the police don't have to, a lot of the police are not necessarily trained to like de-escalate and, what do they do if they come across somebody, who is in need and, is, obviously not in a good situation. I mean, I think we need trained people. Uh, it's again its own public safety department that knows how to de-escalate situations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean that's what I was talking about also. Like, yes, you need a police presence, but you also need trained people who understand, what to do when somebody is mentally ill. So I think that would be helpful as well.
Great. Yeah, I believe so. Thank you, Marnie. Thank you so much for the time. Wow, 30 minutes just flew.
I know that
Please,
exactly.
please
Yeah,
tell me whenever you have a gig, whenever there's a parade that you will be
yeah.
joining and performing. We would love to be there. Let me know.
Definitely, definitely. And
Thank
also, I
you.
would just say to all your listeners, like,
Hmm.
there's a lot of programs that, sometimes people don't know about. So if you're
Yes.
62 years old and your income is less than 50,000, you can get something called a scree.
Mm-hmm.
It's for seniors and it will freeze your rent. And I think that's something that's important. Also, if you're disabled
Mm-hmm.
and you make under 50,000, it's called a DRE. So the city offers services like, yes, you have to qualify. There's people at the mayor's offices that can
Mm-hmm.
help you register. But there's a lot of services and resources out there that a lot of people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So if, I mean, I can give you my email. It's marnihalasa@gmail.com.
All
If
right.
people have any questions, you can email me and I'll try to help you guys, help you, you know, um, point you in the direction that you need to go.
I will post that. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Marnie.
Everybody needs help.
Yes,
Me
yes,
included.
and continue your passion at figure skating, and it's
Thank
a
you.
good thing that you are teaching the younger ones to
Yep,
continue this art, because art is a wonderful self-expression for us to maintain our balance.
exactly. It sure is.
I love that you balance your activism with art.
Right,
You're
right.
someone that we should emulate.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. So
much.
much fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. And so, with that, we will say goodbye and see you again soon, ladies and
All right.
gentlemen.
Thank
Bye,
you so much,
everyone.
Marvir. Great to
Thanks,
see you.
Marnie.
Okay, bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Hi, Marivir. Congratulations on the first year anniversary of Conversations with MM. I watched a couple of your episodes and I enjoyed it. Um, Keep it going, and here's looking forward as you enter your second year. Thanks, and see you at the party.